Alright guys, so new patch is upon us, and of course with new patches come new characters, the first of which is Zombie Ironman. So what we're going to do is quickly talk about Hela and Zombie Ironman, the cool kits that they have. They are a duo war offensive team, as in they're just two people, so we're going to plug three people around them at our choosing. We'll talk about teams I think they'll counter. We'll talk about Zombie Ironman's release method, a little bit of the drama surrounding him, and I'll tell you what my plans are with him. A little bit different than my regular stuff. So without further ado, let's jump into it, and we'll start with the Hela rework. So she gets a nice boost to damage, armor, focus, and resistance. She definitely needs that, being that she's an older character. Her basic is now going to apply bleed, as well as the other stuff it used to do. Her special is also going to apply bleed, and it's going to call a random Iron Man zombie to attack. Very cool. And then her ultimate. Big changes here. So it clears all barrier. It's going to spread all negative effects minus stun and trauma, assuming Iron Man Zombie is an ally, and it's going to apply regeneration to herself and Undying allies, as well as his guardians. Her passive, big changes here. So aside from just summoning Greg, if she has Iron Man Zombie, she's going to start in stealth. This is great. It's going to protect her. When a Greg dies, she of course summons another one, but now she's going to gain one death proof. On turn, she heals for 5% of her life, plus 5% per non-summoned as Guardian and Undying ally. And this new part is nice, little safety blanket. When Hela drops below 50% max health, if Iron Man Zombie is an ally, she's going to summon an Undead as Guardian ally and apply Taunt to Undead as Guardian allies. This can only trigger once per match. So I'm going to right away make a sweeping declaration that you're probably going to bring Loki in with this team. Increased speed to Hela, decreased resistance on the enemy team, a quick defense down, and on this part, she'll go into stealth when she drops below 50% max health, and that's going to be nice. Extra safety blanket, very powerful. And also, she'll increase her self-heal here as well. And a little bit more going on. So I do think this duo just became a trio with the addition of Loki. So continuing on with Hela's passive, she gains 15% max health, plus 15% max health per non-summoned as Guardian and Undying ally. So if we have Loki and Iron Man Zombie in there, she's actually going to get 45% max health. Pretty huge. In war on defense, you can completely ignore this part. If you put this character, this team on war defense, Symbiotes and Axeman are still just going to completely eat them up. It would be a waste. But now, on offense, she's going to gain 25% extra damage and give that to non-summon as Guardians and Undying allies as well. Speaking of Undying allies, let's go ahead and head on over to Zombie Iron Man's kit. First of all, please note he's a bio, not a tech character. Very important. So he's going to attack the primary target and apply bleeds. We're going to see now in Zombie Iron Man's kit how important bleeds get. Right now, let's look at the Mind Control. Mind Control the primary target to attack the most injured enemy that does not have bleed. We're going to see in the passive, I don't know if this means we should leave a character without bleeds or if we should blanket everybody with bleeds. We're going to see when the team goes live and how this actually interacts in live combat with people. Pretty excited to see that. On war offense, the controlled characters are going to gain 50% additional damage for this Mind Control attack. She's also going to increase the speed of Greg's by 30%. Characters killed by this attack will not be revived, and it cannot be blocked. Love that. Cannot be revived and cannot be blocked. That's great. Look for this to be on his ISO attack, and if so, Zombie Iron Man probably pulls out as a striker, especially with all these shoutouts to bleeds. So his special, he's going to apply 2 turns of bleed, 2 turns of disrupt, and 2 turns of ability block. This is his opening ability, and if we go down to the bottom, we see that this also cannot be blocked, and it gains 500% extra focus. So this 2 turns of ability block on his first turn, that's a red flag, but also a green flag. It's a good thing. This is a very, very powerful opening ability. It also does the Mind Control to the most injured enemy that does not have bleed. The controlled enemies do still gain the 50% damage. It does still feed Greg's speed bar by 30%, and additionally, it's going to feed Hela's speed bar by 10%. So that's very, very cool. Moving on to his ultimate, and very, very powerful ultimate as well. Just like Hela, his ultimate clears all barrier. It attacks for a huge amount of damage, and it's going to have a 100% increased crit chance to any enemy with bleed. So again, it's kind of a fine line. Do we want to blanket everybody in bleeds, or do we want to leave one person not having bleeds so these mind-controlled abilities from Ironman are attacking that person? I don't know. I lean towards just have bleeds on everybody. This ultimate will also prolong the duration of all negative effects, excluding trauma and stun, by 1. He'll apply defense down for 2 turns to all enemies, and it's going to still fill that speed bar of those Gregs. Characters killed by this attack are permanently killed, and this attack gains 1500% extra focus, so the prolonging of all these effects is sure to land. And a war offense, if Hela is an ally, this part's kind of crazy. Clear all charged from the primary target and enemy with the highest resistance. So similar to Silver Surfer, he's going to be clearing charges and he gets 1500% extra focus. This leads me to believe that this character and Hela will probably crush Heroes for Hire. Who cares? Who cares? Maybe it'll crush Hero as Guardians. That's a little bit better, but again, I have enough counters to Hero as Guardians. I'm struggled to see where this team so far is going to benefit us. So the passive, the Undead upgrades. On spawn, he starts with 2 turns of defense up. This next part is crazy, and this again leads to more bleed talk. When an enemy takes damage from bleed, mind control that character to attack the most injured enemy. No shutout at that enemy has to not have bleed here, so I do lean towards have bleed on everybody. The mind control character attacks for 30% decreased damage, but we're going to see in war it's actually increased damage, so don't panic about that. He's going to gain 15% max health, and non-summon Undying allies are also going to gain 50% max health. I have to assume Hela's getting that tag because she'd be the only other character that would qualify to be a non-summoned version of somebody with Zombie Iron Man, so I have to assume that. So right away, that means Hela gets 50% here, 45% on her passive if you have Loki and Zombie Iron Man with her, and then the 80% boost she got to her base stats. So Hela's going to be really tanky, which is pretty cool. And then if Hela is an ally, 100% chance to revive with 50% of this character's max health, so a little bit of a redo there. And 50%, that's a magic number, as we're going to see here in a second. So on war offense, we talked about this. Mind control characters are going to gain 30% damage, not lose 30% damage, which is nice. Or maybe this just evens it out so it's 0. Maybe that's the case. On spawn, if Hela is an ally, apply defense up for 2 turns to non-summon allies. So basically, everybody that you bring in with Zombie Iron Man and Hela spawns with defense up. Especially if you bring in a character like Loki, this is very, very nice. Helps you kind of, withstand that first punch. And then here's some really cool stuff. If this character's health is equal to or greater than 50%, stun cannot be applied to this character or any ally. There's a team called Gamma that has 2 stuns on the opening, and those characters start with speed up. And that's Abomination and She-Hulk. So if this cannot be stunned, then you might be able to still die to Gamma because it's freaking Gamma. This team will not counter Gamma. Don't worry about that. That doesn't matter. I don't know who this is targeted at. It might stop Misty Knight from getting her stun off on her second turn. Whoop-de-doo, Basil. Nobody cares. I'm really struggling to see where this team is going to shine. If this character's health is greater or equal to 50%, enemies can't gain death proof. So Heroes for Hire can't gain death proof. Cool story, bro. I don't know, guys. I don't know what this team is marketed towards. Enemies with bleed take an additional 25% damage. That's pretty cool. Some raw damage. So that's it for the kit. I don't know who this team is supposed to beat. It sounds like they'll beat Heroes for Hire. It sounds like they might be able to beat Dormammu teams, like some Dormammus with Heroes for Hire, Dormammu with Young Avengers. Maybe, though I think Young Avengers Scroll Girl will still screw you over. Because they have that permanent death. They have an ability block. They have some interesting stuff for sure. But the super crazy hard meta defense teams right now, your Gamma, your Darkhold, your Underworld, your Tangled Web, I don't see Zombie Iron Man, Hela, Loki, or Zombie Iron Man, Hela, plus any 3 changing the meta. So I don't see the innate value in investing in this team with real world money, which is something they're trying to force us to do. And I don't want to get too salty here, so I'm just going to speak on it briefly right now. They're trying to artificially instill FOMO into each and every single one of us by this line right here. His shards will remain 6 feet under until the next calendar year. That's right, after his initial offers and his event this year, you will not be able to get zombie Ironman shards until next Halloween time? What? He's not going to be put in basic orbs. He's not going to be put in premium orbs and ultimate orbs and mega orbs. He does not seem good enough to warrant this kind of treatment. And to me, I don't want to get too conspiratorial, but it seems like this is an experiment to see if when they give us this much FOMO, how we react, how much we spend. I'm not buying Zombie Iron Man. I don't see the value in him. I don't want to promote this ridiculous artificial FOMO that they're trying to put us through. It feels like bullying, and I hate bullies. I'm not doing it. I'm not buying this character. To get footage and see what this character is capable of, I'm going to have friends that are going to help me get footage for that because they want it. So it is what it is. I don't discourage people from spending your money however you want. I don't care. Me personally, I don't like what they're doing here. I don't see the value in this character. I'm out. It's a Shark Tank. I'm out. I'm done. Aside from all that nastiness, I'm glad we got that over with. Zombie Iron Man is pretty slow, boasting a speed of 109, and he has a brand new unique. Be careful when you're using this unique, especially the teal version. Expect to see some more interesting characters use this new unique. Maybe Apocalypse, maybe, I don't know, Archangel, maybe whatever the 5th Death Seed character is going to be, because if they're introducing it now, expect it to be useful later. With that said, Zombie Iron Man's release method looks to be a little bit convoluted. The first part I really don't like, this Undead Genius Orb part. Let me move this over. You're going to be farming fragments from nodes. We had an event not too long ago similar to this where they put these fragments on a bunch of random nodes in the campaign, where if you were trying to compete in the event, and when I say compete, I mean like get as far as you can to get the monthly item that gives you the big boost, you had to farm like Heroes 1, Cosmic 2. You had to farm a bunch of like blue and green gear and stuff that you don't want to farm. You want to farm the Doom campaign. So if this is going to be in the same vein as that, I already kind of hate it. And it didn't really give you enough fragments to be worth it anyway. It's going to cost a lot of cores is what I'm trying to get at. And I don't like that. And then there's this other portion, which is like a mini campaign. So you're going to battle through 5 missions with 5 characters from your roster. So at least you get the freedom to pick the characters. And when you 3-star, then you can auto sim it. So it's like 5 nodes instead of 9 nodes on a campaign. How many fragments are we going to get? How many orbs are we going to get to open? How many shards are going to be in his orbs? What are these orbs going to look like? It sounds very convoluted, and when it sounds convoluted from Scopely, I'm not trying to be too negative here, it normally means we're getting less. That's just normally what it means. And then there's another part after it. After you've recruited Zombie Iron Man, you can use him plus 4 characters of your choice to do some additional missions. Now, it does sound like you only need to beat these missions once, so I don't think you need to panic build Zombie Iron Man, but you do need to have him ready to go with your 4 other characters before his event ends to get the missions done. I think there's a one-time reward similar to like what sagas are. All in all, I don't know. I'm not excited for this character. It seems like a bust. It doesn't seem like he's going to change the war meta similar to the way like War Dogs seem like they're going to change it. He's going to be too exclusive unless you're like a super mega Kraken. This is going to be the first character that I don't buy. I already opened up my regular Red Star orbs for Dark promo credits. That's how much I'm not buying this character. Not happening.